The guy pulls the drill out, and the second he pulls the drill out, he gets this like funky smell. Like according to the guy, a direct quote from the guy, he's like, the foulest stench is in the air, like the funk of 40,000 years.
He said that?
And grizzly ghouls from every tomb are like closing in to seal your doom.
That's what he said?
Yeah. And then he told Brandt, he's like, and though you fight to stay alive, like your body starts to shiver.
And like, was he thrilled?
Yeah, no mere mortal can escape the evils of the throne. I cannot believe I got that long into the quote before you.
So far into it, dude.
It's so bad, Chad.
Oh my gosh! Well, I mean, I imagined you were reciting the interview with him, and I was like, "Wait a second, why is it rhyming?"
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Cash Me Outside podcast with your hosts, Chad, Christian, and Alex, the handsomest men in treasure hunting. How you guys doing?
I'm really good. I've been really stressed the last 24 hours, and it's all good now. It's all chill, and I'm feeling really good.
Like last week, we talked about what was stressing Christian out. Chad, what's stressing you out, man?
Did we? What was stressing you out?
Probably the economy.
Oh, yeah, no, that's right. No, that's actually been on my mind, too. Not like yours, but anyways, we have a new setup. There's a bazillion wires all over the place, and figuring it all out is what I've been dealing with. So I actually didn't study for today's topic. That's going to be all on you. I have listened to or gone through the videos, gone through the stuff, but I didn't spend the normal few hours before the podcast trying to prep for that. But
I'm ready. I'll take the mantle.
We all have our role in this to play. Mm-hmm. Chad, you're the guy in the chair. You do the setup.
I'm the guy with the hair that has hair.
That's true. You do have.
Supposedly.
And Christian's the guy that doesn't care.
Just doesn't care. And that actually really applies because if you guys don't remember, I do zero prep for these podcasts. The role I play is to be like you, where I don't have really any context to this story. I'm hearing it for the first time and responding just like you. So,
can I say something?
Yeah.
So I've talked about my dating profiles. Yeah. I put on there that I'm in a podcast, but I will not share what it's called because I hate it, but I also love it.
Smart.
Okay. And it's caused some interest. And so there are a few out there that have been like, so what is it? So I don't know if they've actually listened.
Chad's found some good bait to fish with. I like
straight
that.
up. It's not bait to fish it with. That is the reason I'm fishing.
Yeah.
I'm just getting listeners.
You could almost say you're like the master of that kind of, of the bait that you're doing with the fish.
I like the idea that Chad like marks success not in dates, but in how many more listeners.
How many hits he's getting.
Yeah, no, it's not going to work out with this chick, but she's going to listen from now on, guys.
Do you know how many listeners I have?
I love it. Hey, I'm really, I've teased this now for a couple episodes. I'm really, really excited. This is my favorite part of the Montezuma story. So just a little bit of backdrop. We're talking about Montezuma's lost treasure. If you're listening right now for the first time, I would strongly suggest to back that thing up and go back to episode 1. We're moving sequentially through the treasure, and the purpose of this is kind of like long form podcast to do a deep dive on like where the treasure started, where it has allegedly or potentially moved, and all of the stories of people trying to find it throughout time, right? So now, where we left off last episode was in the early 80s with the Judd family and the Dillman family. And if you don't have that context, it's probably good to get it. You can probably listen without it, but we're going to pick up in the early 80s, and we're going to enter... he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore of Montezuma treasure hunter people. And he's maybe my favorite person, maybe second to Freddie Crystal. I'm a big Freddie Crystal guy. Our guy, Brandt Child. So I'm really, really excited to talk about it. There's a lot of wild stuff we're going to talk about today, Christian.
We've had a descendant of Brandt Child message us. Is that correct?
That is right.
We've had two. A grandchild, and then we had another, I think we had another grandchild.
No, it wasn't a grandchild.
Is his name Brandt?
So Ass Kraken, who's well known within the Cash Me Outside community, where people have done... He messaged us. He grew up swimming in the Three Ponds Lake.
Well, we've had a couple people. I've talked to a couple people who have done that as well. Yep. We've had guys. We've been talking to a lot of people that grew up in Kanab and are have had experiences with what we're going to talk about, especially the like haunted part of what we're going to talk about. Today's episode, Christian, is going to get spooky.
Yes.
I'd also like to report near the end of last episode, Christian, made his claim that he does not believe in curses, does not believe in ghosts, and we joked about the fact that the next time we record the podcast, Christian would have like chicken pox or like be jaundiced or anything like that. Christian, you look good. You look handsome. How have the last couple of weeks been for you?
Do you know what's hilarious about this?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Christian has hemorrhoids.
I completely forgot about this. I did an MRI yesterday.
Oh, no. Was it bad?
It wasn't good.
No.
Yeah, I'm not joking.
Oh, no.
And now it's actually really funny to me because I completely forgot that I invoked the curse of an ancient Incan god, Aztecian god.
Did you bring that up to your doctor / have you started talking?
Wait, are we okay though?
I'm gonna be fine. It's just
fine?
it's things progressing a little faster than I want to.
Yeah.
And so, but that's hilarious. I forgot.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry too.
No, it's really a big bummer. But I'm also caught between being big bumped and also being kind of like maybe the curse is real, and like kind of excited to dig into this. I kind of just think to know,
you have your chance. Maybe at the end of this episode, after you hear some of these stories, you can walk back your I don't believe in curses thing and get some cursed redemption, some cursed redemption.
Here's the thing: what I'm going to do. I'm going to double down on the fact I have no curses. I don't believe in curses because one data point isn't enough. We need multiple data points.
You're going to get data
points. And I'm kind of wanting to, to open this Pandora's box. So screw you, curse gods. I don't know. I know, just joking. I still don't believe in curses. Bring it on.
I love it.
I'm glad that you're just going to take that on yourself and not ask that we...
we talked about each person has a role.
Yeah.
I am the little guinea pig.
He's our curse shield.
I'm your curse shield.
I love it. Cool. Should we jump into business here?
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's talk about Brandt Child. Enter Brandt Child in the story. Christian, Brandt Child is a treasure hunting gangster. I love him. There are some people that don't as much, but I love Brandt Child, and I'll tell you several reasons why throughout this story. But a little backdrop. Brandt Child, born in 1928 in Bountiful, Utah. He grew up hearing the stories, so this is kind of a little bit after the Freddie Crystal craziness, but he grew up hearing the stories about Montezuma's treasure in Bountiful and Salt Lake, Utah. He had two other brothers, and him and his brothers in like the 40s, 50s, and 60s ran Brandt Brothers Construction. Couldn't find any information about Brandt Brothers Construction, but I assume that Brandt Brothers Construction did pretty well, and we're going to see why. In 1983, Brandt Child, I think, retires. He moves to Kanab. So he packs up from Bountiful, moves down to Kanab, and gets there and starts hanging out with the Judds and kind of like ingratiates himself into the Kanab treasure hunting community, I guess.
Was his move down there for that purpose?
So I don't know that. I assume so, but because there's the combination of, we know that he says he grew up hearing the stories of Montezuma's treasure, and then he moved down to Kanab. And look, most people that are moving to southern Utah to retire in 1983 are not going to Kanab. They're going to St. George or elsewhere.
How far is Kanab from St. George?
It's a little ways away.
It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
An hour and a half, really?
Yeah, it's on like the east side of the southern part of Utah. Okay, so Brandt Child starts kind of getting with the Judds and searching for the treasure, but he kind of fairly quickly starts to diverge a little bit from the mainstream theory of where it is. Remember, the Judds at this time believe it's on their property. They have the Dillmans come and kind of say, hey, look, here are the hieroglyphics. Here's this kind of like target. It's on your property. He thinks that the treasure was actually moved. He starts to kind of formulate this theory that the treasure was moved about 10 miles west in what's called Three Lakes Canyon. It's right along Highway 89. So he starts searching over there. Okay, so he's looking around this Three Lakes Canyon. Three Lakes Canyon is, it's a little canyon, then it has actually these little ponds in Three Lakes Canyon. And as he's searching, he finds an Indian symbol carved into the ground that looks like an arrow that points right to the biggest of these ponds, which is called Three Lakes Pond. So Brandt Child does the first gangster thing, which is he just buys the property. So he's like,
I'm
going to get a deal on this thing.
So the construction company did do pretty
I think he had some cash. Right? I think Brandt Child had some money.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing I just love about Brandt Child, and this is true of like so many of the treasure hunters that we have talked about, I admire this. Like, they're enterprising. They're like, people are committed, and they're all in on finding this treasure, So he buys the property, he buys the Three Lakes Pond property. And so, as he kind of gets closer to the pond, a couple things. So we're going to talk a lot about this Three Lakes Pond, right? He thinks treasure's in Three Lakes Pond. He does, he's like everybody else has done a lot of research on the Aztecs. And one of the things that he's learned is that the Aztecs, remembered, Tenochtitlan, the center of the Aztec Empire, was an island in the middle of a giant lake, right? Lake Texcoco.
Oh, they created a mini version at Three Lakes Pond?
No, okay. But because of that, they were very well versed in using water for everything, farming and and everything like that. But they used water traps. So they used water traps in war. They used water traps to hide things and everything like that. So his working theory here.
Wait, how did they use water traps in war?
Real quick, is a water trap the trap is the water, or the trap's under the water?
Yeah, so there's a couple here. His theory on this pond is that the way that they hid the treasure was that they drained the water, right? They dammed up the water, drained the lake, tunneled in through the what was left, right? The lake bed, built a tunnel in a cavern, hid the treasure, and then flooded it again, right? You think about this, back in that time, there's no scuba or anything like that. That's the only way to access the treasure again is to drain the pond again.
Got it.
It's the only way. You're not going to swim to it.
You stop the inlet, let the outlet flow,
exactly.
Let it drain. At some point, you're going to have to get some buckets out there, because that's just, at some point, that's going to be a real painstaking process at one point.
Or you just dam it up, yeah.
Yeah, but at some point...
Forgive my language.
You can let half of the lake flow out through the river. At some point, you can't let it flow out anymore.
That's right. Got to get the buckets out.
Got to get the buckets.
Exactly. So that's his theory, right? He's like, there's this Three Lakes, and Three Lakes Pond is fairly well known in Kanab. He's like, I think that's what they did. I think they built a water trap and they hid it here. This was the permanent hiding spot of the treasure. A little background on Three Lakes Pond. People thought it was haunted before Brandt Child even bought it.
Oh, right? Really?
He probably got a good deal.
Yeah. So there's this local lore before the So people had been swimming in Three Lakes Pond forever, and people had reported ghosts and all that kind of stuff. But the working theory before Brandt Child kind of brought the Aztec Montezuma's treasure theory there is that there was a stagecoach back in the 1800s that crashed into the pond, and several people drowned, and that the ghosts of the crashed stagecoach haunted Three Lakes Pond.
Wow.
Cool, right? Okay. So Brandt Child, he's like, I've got this Three Lakes Pond. I think it's under here. And by the way, the other theory was the other local legend was that it was a bottomless lake. There's no bottom to it, right? Nobody had ever swam to the bottom of Three Lakes Pond.
I thought it was pretty shallow.
Well, we find out how deep it is.
Okay.
Brandt comes and ruins that for everybody in Kanab. Told you, he's a gangster.
He jumps in, is up to his waist.
Yeah. You guys are short. So he's like, I think it's in here, and he's got to figure out kind of how to get it. So the first thing he does is he calls his buddy that is a scuba diver, and he says, hey, can you come and kind of just scuba around? So the first thing the scuba diver does is he dives to the bottom, finds out that it was 35 feet deep. So pretty deep for if you're swimming, nobody's going to swim to 35 feet.
That seems like it's very deep for a local pond.
Pond, right. Yeah, pretty deep. Those Aztecs, they know where to hide their treasure. So that's his diver friend. He explores the depth, and then he's kind of exploring around Three Lakes Pond while he's scuba diving, and he has the sensation of being swept away into a tunnel.
Ooh, so
he immediately is like, I'm out, I'm done. He comes up and he's like, no way, I'm done. And Brandt is kind of scratching his chin, okay, I kind of expected there to be a tunnel. And you can see when you look at pictures of Three Lakes Pond, you can see there's a little kind of cavern part. There's a cave part of Three Lakes Pond where just the kind of the wall up against one side of the pond, the wall kind of carves in a little bit by where the water level is, if that makes sense.
Okay. That thing has to be thoroughly explored.
Oh yeah, it's going to be thoroughly explored, and we're going to have so many stories there. So Brandt Child's next thing is he's like, there's a tunnel here. I got to figure out what's at the end of this tunnel. So he hires a group of divers out of San Francisco, professional divers. Their job is divers for hire, right? They come out to Kanab, and it's I think it's 3 of them. It's a team of 3 divers. They bring a bunch of gear.
They have $100,000 worth of equipment, right? Of diving?
Not yet.
Oh, that's
yeah.
fair. Okay.
But it's the same group. So they first come out. They have the tow lines, right? Hook up a line to above water so you can get pulled if you get swept away, that kind of thing. And they start to swim around, and they get I think they brought I think it was a 65 or 70 foot rope, and they start going down this tunnel, and they have metal detectors as well, right? Right as the metal detector pings, they run out of rope. They're at the end of like the 65 or 70
They're at the end
feet.
of the rope.
Yeah. So Brandt's like F and A, like there's something here.
Yeah.
Divers come back out and they're like, hey, we got to bring better gear. So he strikes a deal with these divers. He's like, hey, listen, you go back to San Francisco, you bring your best stuff. And the deal is any treasure we find, I'll split with you 50-50. So these divers are like, metal detector went off. There's this tunnel under here. And obviously I'm sure Brandt had told them all the stories and everything like that. So they go back to San Francisco, come back with like $100,000 worth of scuba diving gear.
Okay, because my only question is like if they ran out of rope, you can get rope a number of places. Like I bet they have rope in Kanab. I bet there's a rope. He's got a good rope guy in Kanab. So why, if they just need a little more space, like, oh, our metal detector got pinged, but we're at the end of a rope.
No, the other thing, they were like, they needed bigger tanks. They wanted sonar. They wanted better metal detectors and all of that kind of stuff. They wanted to like really go in. The other thing is, it's like, it's not like the treasure's going anywhere. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He owns the property. And he's the only one that's looking for it. So anyway, they strike this 50% share contract. The divers come back with $100,000 worth of diving gear, and this is where it starts to get gnarly. Divers start going down, and they start reporting stuff. Now, nobody makes it to the end of the tunnel, even though they have the rope. One diver goes down, and he panics and swims back up because he feels like his like tube that connected to the scuba tank was pulled. He like lost his oxygen.
This is like a nursery rhyme.
Another one goes down and is like says that he was being choked and that there's like skeletons that were like ripping his mask off. He's saying, I saw a skeleton, like I saw ghosts, like these ghosts ripping my mask.
I thought that was actually a really funny part of the interview that we watched with Brandt Child, because he was like, he was imitating the diver. He's like, oh no, I see ghostly figures. I was like, you think in the moment that he's like, it's a ghostly figure. Like, oh no.
And I think about this, like if you're Brandt, right? If you're Brandt, are you like, oh no, I hope you don't get choked by the ghost, or are you kind of like, yes, like, oh, Aztec ghosts.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm on to something here.
And zero risk and all the reward. Right?
Exactly.
Like, this is my what I think every time I get pulled over. Like, yeah, it's bad. You get pulled over by the cops, but I'm like, this is a story. Like, I'm gonna go home and I tell my friends. Like, this is a story. So I imagine there's some of that. Like, this is crazy. This is a story. This is like is something to tell my friends.
So these San Francisco divers go in.
Yeah.
They're like one by one, they're like getting like spooked.
Yeah, and these are guys, again, these are professional divers for, like, this is Scuba Steve. Like, Scuba Steve is down there and are like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore.
Do you think this would be really funny though if these guys were just like, let's have a good time with this guy, and it's like they're like the impractical jokers, or they're like Nathan for you?
Yeah,
they're like, oh no, ghostly figures, you know?
I think you're onto something.
This mermaid has.
Remember, they're doing this
like mermaid.
At this point, I think they're doing this all on commission. Like, this is a 100% commission deal. Yeah. They're trying to get half the treasure. Like, I think they're doing that on conviction.
Local Kanabians, then it would make more sense.
Right.
But
well, I think we established that's Kanabites.
Okay.
Yeah,
Canabites. I'm not going to fight you on that.
No, nobody's canceled us for saying
us.
Canabites yet, so I think that we're
canceled us for other stuff.
Yeah,
not that.
Fair enough.
Sorry, one more thing. There was one other story, and I think you mentioned some guy like that ran out of air. One of the women divers that went down came back up, and because she had no air, and it had been turned.
It looked like it had been tampered with. Yeah,
it had been. It was just off.
Yeah, that's right.
So she went down with air. Obviously, she would have noticed if she didn't have air. She came back up and it had been turned off.
See, I like the idea that there's one of these scuba divers is just like 50% is a lot, but I want all that 50%. So like I'm gonna like off my other buddies, and so I can have the full share. Like this is a mystery within a mystery.
This is like the opening scene of the Batman with the Joker.
Yeah, like knock them off, like shut this person's air off, choke this person from behind, and be like, yeah, the skeleton had me too. Yeah, you know.
Let's definitely leave room for that in the narrative. Okay. Yeah, it's not all ghosts. Maybe it's
just Bill.
Maybe it's just murder.
Scuba Steve's out there just slaying people. I love it. Okay, so Brandt Child at this point, he's like, look, if I can't get these like world-class professional divers to do it, like the diving things off, but he's like, look, the other thing I can do is just do what the Aztecs did with water traps and just drain the lake, right? So he announces these plans to drain the lake. First, it's met with, so this is another reason Brandt Child's a gangster. When he first announces that, all the like surrounding landowners are like, no, you can't do that, like irrigation and water and all that kind of stuff. So you know what he does?
10%. Oh, okay.
he just buys their land. He just buys he just starts buying a bunch of land around his land.
This is the OG. Goodness.
Yeah, he's got some Child Brothers construction money to throw around in Kanab. But so he buys the surrounding land, and around this time, I should note, this is where I think you'll see some people that are like, oh, okay, was he like an actual treasure? Was he really hunting the treasure, or was he like a really, really good marketer? He also announces plans to build a golf course on this property and a campground, like a professional campground.
Okay, so a great way to get tourists is to say that things are haunted
and you get like there's Salt Lake City newspapers in the 80s and 90s that are kind of like there's a number of articles out there that are kind of covering these stories and everything like that. I am of the opinion, however, that he was just looking for the treasure, man.
I think so too, because if you're a sensationalist and you have something like you want to do something like that, like this is like
there's better places to go.
There's better places
100%.
to go.
100%.
Easier ways to handle
That's right.
it.
The other thing I'm going to say about Three Lakes Pond is that the divers are not the only ones that have reported that. Obviously, I said like people thought the stagecoach ghosts, but it's like there are, for generations and generations in Kanab, people have talked about, like, grandparents have passed on to grandchildren, like, oh, if you go swim at Three Lakes Pond, there's ghosts there, be really careful. Like, my buddy saw a ghost, and you'll see a ghost, and everything like that. It's fun.
We're going, guys. We're gonna.
I 100% want to go. I want to go swimming at Three Lakes Pond so bad. It's owned by the Child family still, as I understand it.
The trick is you just skinny dip, because
Ain't
no ghost want, and like they're gonna see that and be like,
that's right.
Oh, I don't want
that's
to go
right.
near
I'm
that.
not messing with that naked guy.
There's no way they're letting anyone in.
I think
If one snail is harmed,
yeah, we can talk about that.
yeah, we'll get there. But
The next part of the story. So
It's hard to stop you though if you're naked. Have you ever noticed that? Right.
have you been you've been doing a lot of things that would require stopping while you're
Anytime
naked?
someone's like trying to stop him, you just get naked because no one's gonna stop you.
I don't know.
well, I guess it depends.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of streakers get tackled pretty hard in professional sporting events. Okay, so Brandt Child's like, I'm going to drain this thing, right? Kind of puts the word out. We're going to drain this thing, buys the surrounding land, so there's just no beef at all with the surrounding landowners. And around this time, the Department of Fish and Wildlife come to his property, and they discover at the Three Lakes Pond a tiny little snail called the Kanab amber snail.
Amber?
The Kanab amber snail, which had recently been identified as a endangered species in the department.
Any animal that starts with Kanab in it is endangered for sure.
Right? It's like the Christian's house gopher.
Technically, the citizens of Kanab are an endangered species.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brutal.
There's just not many of them.
It's a thriving town.
We love you, Kanabites.
Yeah.
And by the way, after this podcast blows up, you might as well buy real estate in Kanab right now because it's about to blow up.
That's right.
I'm very pro Kanab. Anyways, so Fish and Wildlife come to his property and they're like, Brandt, here's the deal. Kanab amber snail, it is an endangered species. By the way, this is the second habitat that we have identified for the Kanab amber snail. You want to know where the other habitat is? The only other known habitat of the Kanab amber snail?
Freddie Crystal's bike.
Here's a little callback. In the Grand Canyon, right on the bed of the Colorado River at a stretch of the Grand Canyon.
No way.
Yeah.
No, well.
Do you remember our Jake Johnson?
Yeah.
James White?
Horseboy.
Yeah.
Well, why did they call it the Kanab amber snail if they found it in the Grand Canyon?
Well, Kanab's kind of around.
They found it there as well.
Yeah.
They found it there first.
Did they?
I think they found it there
Well, you can't
first.
call it the mouth of the Colorado River Grand Canyon amber snail.
You definitely can.
The Kanab amber snail is a subspecies of the broader amber snail species. And so this is just like the variant of the amber snail that lives there. The other thing...
So what's different about it?
Is
it just in Kanab? It's the same thing, but in Kanab?
Yeah, unfortunately, our snail expert wasn't able to... We weren't able to make schedules.
I actually made it just in time. What would
Dr.
you like to...
Haverford.
Snails are like slugs.
The reticulus of the...
Wait, snails are like what?
Slugs.
Oh.
I love it. Okay. Other thing to know about snails. The Aztecs used snails in their symbology as well. Some people say that like the shell was a sign of, like, they used it as a symbol of protection. Other people, and I wasn't able to substantiate this, other people who have a blog that's in Title Case say that like golden snails were like a symbol of like treasure, or that people would put those symbols over their treasures or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so Fish and Wildlife tell Brandt Child there's a $50,000 fine for every single snail that you kill if you drain this lake. You want to hear another reason Brandt Child is a gangster? Shortly thereafter, in December 1991, so we're at December 1991 at this point, news breaks that somebody has released 10 geese onto Brandt Child's property near Three Lakes Pond.
He's like, I can't do anything to these snails.
Fun fact about geese, you know what they love to eat?
Oh, they like snails.
Snails. They love snails. So Brandt Child, like, look.
He's like, I don't know how this happened.
People say, so Brandt Child, he was the one that like alerted the authorities about this. And he's like, I don't want anybody to think that I was involved in this or that I'm an accomplice. There's some whisperings that like Brandt Child would give a little wink and a nod later on when people are like, hey, tell me about the geese on your property.
No way.
Apparently he told the authorities. And there's this great story, right? So, and I'm probably going to butcher parts of this, but there's this great story where they're like, the geese are going to eat the snails and it's a $50,000 fine. Like, what do we do? Some trooper in Kanab was like, I'm going to shoot him. So he's like getting ready to roll up to Brandt Child's property to just slaughter these 10 geese. Because like, well, we don't want to like, you know, where do we move them? What do we do with them? And I guess like a couple of news reporters caught wind and like were there waiting for him to like film him murdering these geese. Oh my god! Create all this outrage.
This is just a beautiful back and forth. This could be a TV series. This is incredible.
Just Kanab, baby. It's just a day in the life in Kanab, Utah.
So I guess that I goes back to the office and we're like,
I guess that the trooper, and I like imagine this as like the state trooper who's like, I got a gun, I'll fix this. They're like, let's not do that, and they ended up catching the geese and relocating the geese. I just love the idea that Brandt Child's like, all right, I know a way around this whole Kanab amber snail situation. Who's got 10 geese that they can lend me?
I've got a geese guy.
Got to have a good geese guy. Anyway, so plan number 2. Plan number 1, scuba diving, fails. Plan number 2, drain the swamp, fails. Brandt Child moves on to plan number 3, which is like, okay, we have a sense. Remember, the divers came with some sonar. We have a sense for kind of where this tunnel goes, like where it starts and where it leads. What if we kind of just start drilling? Right, drill holes down from the surface to see if we can't like get into some caverns or whatever. Right.
So he can't drain the lake, but he can just like drill anywhere he wants.
Yeah, there's no snails on the ground.
Into the lake.
As long as you're not drilling
just around it,
up on the hill,
where he thinks like the tunnels might be.
He's not a pervert. He's not a pervert. He's not drilling snails, Christian. Right? Snails are fine.
I don't know what you're trying to do, but it's
that wasn't a good one. We'll cut that one.
Can you imagine?
I'm trying.
We're not going to cut it.
We've been too PG so far this episode.
No, I love the fact that like people are in prison and they're like, "What are you here for?"
Yeah, snail driller.
Does that mean what I think it does? It absolutely does, Gary.
Oh man. Okay, phase 3 of the Brandt Child plan. He's like, let's drill. So he has a buddy that's got a drill. Obviously, everybody's got a buddy with a drill. I think the kind of drill that you need to do this, right? I'm assuming like a really long drill bit and everything like that. It's a big, powerful drill.
It's an entire rig.
Yeah, I think the bigger one, right? Or no, that's right. That's right.
No, it's a big old drill. Drills dozens of feet into the ground.
Yeah. And we're all pretty blue collar people, so it's like, you know what we're talking about. Yeah, it's the rig with the drill.
It's got the 4-bit.
My dad owns a machine shop. I cut my teeth on
Did you
big old drills.
You literally cut your teeth on it?
Yeah. Chad is not a city boy. Anyway, so yeah, he's got a buddy that's got this like the drill that he needs to drill, and they're drilling around, and they drill and they kind of like penetrate through something.
This is a sexy
and the drill
sentence.
stuff. I know, they penetrate, and a couple things happen.
Can't get away.
So the guy like the drill like kind of breaks through something and then kind of stops. The guy pulls the drill out, and the second he pulls the drill out, he gets this like funky smell. Like according to the guy, a direct quote from the guy, he's like, the foulest stench is in the air, like the funk of 40,000 years.
He said that?
And grizzly ghouls from every tomb are like closing in to seal your doom.
That's what he said?
Yeah. And then he told Brandt, he's like, and though you fight to stay alive, like your body starts to shiver.
And like, was he thrilled?
Yeah, no mere mortal can escape the evils of the throne. I cannot believe I got that long into the quote before you.
So far into it, dude.
It's so bad, Chad.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I imagined you were reciting the interview with him, and I was like, "Wait a second, why is it rhyming?"
The other thing to know about the drilling guy, big rhymer. Yeah.
You caught on when you said thrill.
He's the thriller driller.
Yeah, the thriller. This part's gonna sound so bad. We're being super insensitive. So he does smell something really funky when he pulls the drill out. The other thing is that there's flecks of gold on the drill. Lon Child, who is Brandt Child's son, and Brandt Child
no way.
both talk about they see flecks of gold on the drill.
Lon Child is the brother of the guy who messaged us.
Okay.
Okay, so this guy was there, saw the flecks of, yeah.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, what we need to do is go get a bigger drill bit so we can drill a hole like big enough to lower us into to see what we're looking at here. Like, is that, is this a cavern and everything like that? So they pack it up for the day, right? Drill guy, the driller thriller, goes home that night, dies of a heart attack.
Oh.
I know. I feel bad now about the whole.
And
joke.
then,
all right, our sincerest condolences to the driller guy from the early 90s.
the driller guy, we should probably know his name.
And then, like 3 weeks later, that guy's wife also died.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
Cursed treasure, Christian. Do you believe in curses yet?
I don't yet.
You best start believing in those stories, Christian. You're in one.
So that's another movie quote. Pirates of the Caribbean.
no, yeah, no, so that's another Michael Jackson song. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I don't remember if it's in the interview, but some source somewhere.
Oh, good. Okay. Good. I'm glad you cited your source there.
So you can believe Chad now. For sure.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to double down on that. Some source somewhere said that, like, when gold is underwater for
Yeah. No, this is a true thing. I looked this up.
Hundreds, thousands of years, whatever, that it oxidizes. I don't remember the
Yeah,
wording,
it produces
but
like
produces a
toxic gases. And by the way, this is true. Miners have to worry about this. Like other treasure hunters who are looking for buried treasure or gold that is in creek beds and everything like that,
Yeah.
it puts toxic gas out into the air, and also it releases kind of toxic liquid into the ground around there and everything like that. It's a thing. Buried gold is a thing if it's not protected.
The thriller driller who was killed was his wife. I bet his wife died too. So you think somehow?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe she kissed him on the
Yeah, I
lips
don't
when he
know.
got home.
Yeah,
He's
got-
been keeping that inside him.
ate some of the gold and then
Got it.
passed gas, and that's
You know how
Interesting.
guys lick drills when they're
Okay.
done drilling. So that kind of puts a little bit of a halt on the drilling plan. Plan number 4. You can see Brandt Child. Told you he's a gangster. He's
Not
committed to this thing.
easily deterred.
Yeah, he is committed to this thing. So
sorry. One more point.
Yeah.
That rig is still there. The brother of the driller is too afraid to go get it.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Still there.
That is a significant amount of money, that equipment, if you look at it.
So I will right now,
Yeah.
brother of the driller. All right, sorry for your loss. But secondly, I will go get the rig for you. I don't believe in curses, and I will go get the rig. I'm not scared.
Okay.
I'm not worried about it.
And then when no one's looking, he's diving in.
No. So if you'd like for it, I will get that rig for you, pro bono. I'm a pro bono rig grabber.
You're not the only one I know, Christian.
I'd love to grab your rig pro bono.
I'd love to grab your Bono Pro Rick.
I'm a pro bono grabber.
All right, now we're PG-13. Good, we're back on track. Okay, good. Yeah, sad story, obviously. RAP rig driller guy. Brandt Child, remember, was a construction guy. So he, knows how to do construction things, including, like, his next thought is like, well, F this. Let's go get an excavator and just start digging the shiz out of the place, right?
Technically, that's destruction.
Fair enough.
Well, no, you have to.
It's the same equipment. You don't know anything
You build
about
a basement.
machinery. Yeah. Wow, why don't you go learn about tools and then come back and join our
Yeah.
podcast?
Okay,
Ted?
sorry.
Call. My dad. Anyways.
Wasn't your dad like mine for a living? Like it's rock quarries?
What? No. That's
Who
not
am I
even close.
Oh, he's the long haul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
You're thinking of the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh yeah.
Easy
For
mistake.
sure. I
Yeah.
totally forgot.
Yeah. You're thinking of Element United. That's not my dad. Anyway. So they go get... Montezuma's cursed chat is choking to death right now.
Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you had a wife, I'd be concerned about her too, but just joking. We'll take that out.
So the next thing, Brandt and his son Lon get the excavator, and they're just going to go start digging stuff up, and they start doing that, right? So at some point, Brandt starts talking about how him like a lot of the people in Kanab had like encounters with the Paiute Indians around there, and they so they kept having issues with the excavator, right? It like wouldn't start. They had stuff, and then one day they go to start the excavator, it doesn't start, and they examine and they find that their gas tank filled with sand. Somebody sabotaged the excavator. And around this time, he had an encounter with a Paiute man that was kind of like right around on his property. And the Paiute man said, "You have to stop looking for this treasure. It's not the time, and you're not the person." Basically, he said, "If you don't stop looking, something terrible is going to happen." Basically, told him. Right. Ominous, especially you think about it, you Brandt Child and like. Scuba Steve got strangled by ghosts. My driller guy died. I've also heard the stories of, kids getting bit by rattlesnakes and dying and all sorts of things. Like there's a lot of death that follows this Montezuma treasure. And so the story of Brandt Child searching for the treasure kind of stops here, right? He continues to own the property, but at some point he goes back to Bountiful, and then him and his wife go on a like Mormon church mission to Michigan, right? And then he comes back. September 2000, and later in September 2002, Brandt Child dies in a car accident on Highway 89. I mean, he died as an old man on Highway 89, right by near his property. And there are some people that will say that when he got back from his Mormon mission, he kind of resumed the hunt for the treasure and had forgotten the warning or failed to heed it. I don't know, right? If that's the case, that's just what some people say. It's like, a hashtag Chad source on there. But the way that he died in a car accident, he's driving down Highway 89 and hits a horse in the middle of the road.
Black horse.
In Kanab, that's actually the number one cause for car accidents.
Probably.
Is it?
But that's kind of a like you might be cursed by a multi-thousand-year-old Aztec curse kind of way to die, right?
Dude we got his kids and grandkids or listen to it. I don't want to like prognosticate that we're saying your grandfather or family member was cursed. That's super sad. He passed away. Sounds like a great guy. Yeah. Lived a great full life. And me who doesn't believe in curses, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But here's the thing, like I am a huge Brandt Child fan. This guy like lived a really big life. Mm-hmm. We're some random guys that are telling this like epic story about this guy chasing this treasure decades and decades after he kind of stopped searching, and decades after he died, and he lived a long life. Like he died as an old man. He left 11 kids, and when he died he had 58 grandkids. Like this guy had a full life. And some of the messages that we've got, one of the messages from his grandson, which I loved, was like, he was just this, he's like, I don't know if the treasure's real or even if my grandpa believed in the treasure or not. He's like, but man, he just lived this big life searching for the treasure.
And just like the stories that we're gonna be able to be passed on, like legacy, like that is really cool. 100%. That's exciting. And like everyone wants to be like, go to like talk to your friends at school and be like, yeah, my grandpa was a treasure hunter and he did all this and have all these cool stories.
All of Brandt Child's grandchildren are just dunking on everybody else when grandparent stories come out. Be like, oh yeah, your grandma was a little racist. Well, let me tell you about my grandpa. He was a treasure hunter in Kanab. And by the way, here's all these news articles and videos and History Channel documentaries and everything like that have been done about it. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. I like that.
I do need to go back though and just be like, with all of these stories, I go back to like the motive.
Yep.
If you do believe that this is the greatest treasure in the history of the world, essentially, or one of the biggest treasures.
Why do you keep saying that? The greatest treasure in the history of the world.
You guys, I feel like you told me that earlier. It feels really big. I don't know a lot about the size of treasures.
Yeah, a reminder, like the estimated size of the Aztec treasure at its peak was $3 billion.
Yeah. So it's in the top 10% of big treasures, I would say.
For sure, yeah.
So like if people feel like they are on it, like they're going to find it, I feel like Treasure Fee would like incapacitate them and they wouldn't be able to do anything else but find this treasure.
Yeah.
And like little things, but like hire divers. Oh no, they had a little spooky time, and like the like I don't know, like there's sand and the snails. Okay. Where my geese go? Like these things wouldn't like stop me. I'd be like, especially when I drilled into something and be like, oh look, there's gold in this drill bit.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, this first driller died. Sorry, buddy. There's other drillers that exist.
Yeah.
Let's call them in. Let's get those deep drillers. Let's get those drillers who drill deep. And let's have them with big, thick drill bits. And let's have them just rip into that.
Hard, yeah.
And like
and never stop.
Yeah,
until they
and one
reach the
dies.
treasure.
You know, you just replace them with another driller.
Turn and burn, baby.
You know, there's not a shortage of drillers in this world.
Christian, I like how you casually call drowning having a spooky time. These people ran out of air.
Are they alive? If they're alive, they didn't drown.
Yeah.
No, they just sucked at breathing for a bit.
I just think that maybe. Here's the thing. I love that Christian talks about this in the context of like, Christian is this like Cruella de Vil like villain who's just like, I'll hire other people to do my bidding. Because like I value my life too much to go.
No, here's the deal. If you give me, I don't know, $50,000 a month and a couple Craigslist ads, I'll have this treasure for you like that.
$50,000 a month?
No, a month. Like, give me 30 days.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Give me $50,000.
You're asking for a $50,000 a month.
Give me a
I was like, I'll do that too.
And just like a couple Craigslist ads, I'll find this treasure because that's all you need to pay to someone and obviously you need permission whoever owns the land.
Yeah.
I'll just come
the
in
child family.
The child family.
Yeah.
I don't believe in curses. I'll find this for you.
Yeah.
I'm not scared.
Okay.
I'll drill deeper than you've ever been drilled. I'm talking to the earth at this point.
Lawn Child, current owner of the Three Lakes Pond property. Christian Jones would like to drill you.
Yes.
Have we confirmed that he is the actual
I'm like
owner?
90% sure. There's like the last stuff I saw was like a couple of years ago where he talked as he was talking about owning the property. So unless he has sold it in the last couple of years.
Once again, lawn child, or I should say lawn grandchild. I will take zero of this treasure.
Yeah.
Hire me. I will find this. It'll be a great way to honor the legacy of your grandfather.
Yeah.
And your family and your estate will own 100% of this, and you can do with it as you wish. I encourage you to give back to the Aztec country.
Here's my other thing about this. If this is hiding behind like a water-filled tunnel, in 2023, like if there's anything I can remember from James Cameron's Titanic, we have little remote control scuba guys that we can go with cameras that we can go send through there.
Yeah.
And they've done that, by the way, like the History Channel documentary.
They've
done that. They've like picked up some of the like soot from like the bottom of the tunnel. It's dark and it's really murky in there. It's like hard to navigate. But like I gotta think in 2023, like guys, if Elon Musk is launching internet into space, like we can go through an 80-foot water tunnel to find
absolutely
gold.
Yeah. We went like 90 miles into a tunnel in Thailand to save those little boy soccer players.
Exactly.
And honestly, how much of each one of those is each one of their lives worth? I don't think it gets to $3 billion.
I haven't tracked them, but I definitely don't think that they have
think their net worth is
accumulated
going to be
$3 billion
billion.
of
and when
gold.
they do, I mean, good for them. Let me know.
Yeah.
But we did that for them.
Gosh, you're such a terrible person, Christian.
No,
I love this emerging character of like Montezuma treasure supervillain that Christian is assuming.
That's what I'm going to do. First of all, if
Christian's dressed in all black, he's just the.
If any of you, of our favorite listeners, are those Thai children, I apologize. I didn't want to offend you.
Just in case.
And I'm
do have a huge audience in Thailand.
I'm super glad we found you. But I want to find some treasure.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to do what it takes. And here's the thing. We either need to find it or we need to get over this. We need to say this, oh, no, it wasn't here.
Yeah.
And we can leave this stupid lake alone.
Here's the thing, though. I just like, by the way, like whether the treasure exists or not, I just think these stories are so rich. Like, I just like, this is so outside of what I would do in my like life. I would never go to Kanab, buy a pond and hire scuba divers from San Francisco to go explore these tunnels. And when that doesn't work, hire a driller. And then when that doesn't work, excavate the crap out of it and hire some geese to go eat some snails for me, fix my snail problem. Like, I just love that these people are just so like, almost like kind of just outside of the box, not thinkers, but like livers. Like they just like, that's just outside of, I just love the stories.
I do agree with Christian's point though. There are treasures with better, not better clues, but more realistic feeling treasures. Like I don't super respond to, oh, this treasure is cursed, and because curses are happening, I think that's like a we're onto it type of thing. Yeah. Like the like Spanish galleons that have gone down, we knew they went down in this neck of the woods. They found that one off the coast of Ecuador, Guatemala, or whatever that was a few months ago. Yeah. There's so much more facts surrounding those.
The thing that is so appealing about
if I were looking for treasure, I would go after something like that.
I don't know. I think the thing that is so appealing about this is really actually three things. One is that it's that you have now generations of people in a small town in southern Utah that have kind of experienced both the haunted side of this and the treasure hunt of this. And there's also they've uncovered, Freddie Crystal uncovered these tunnels and these, caverns and everything like that. And, there's that part of it. The other part of it is just the magnitude of the treasure and the uniqueness of the treasure, right? The idea that this is kind of some of the last relics of this Aztec, this iconic empire, right? That we all learned about growing up in elementary school, right? And then finally, I think the immediacy of the treasure, the fact that it's no, the theory is this treasure is right below our feet, and it's just protected by this haunted thing. It's we know where it is, we know where it is, but we just can't get to it, kind of thing. I think that's where if you're looking for treasure, I don't know, Spanish gold, I gotta go search the whole bottom of the ocean. That just feels so. I don't know.
Yeah, the fact that it feels so local and so real, and that we have accounts from so many different people, and there's so many different coincidences. Now, I want to hear more of these coincidences because I know there's people who listen here from Kanab. Yeah. I know that they have lots of stories and things like that. So if there's any more stories that you have that are kind of pointing towards the treasure in Kanab, I'd love to hear it.
I would love to do an episode, by the way, where we just read the messages we have received, and we'd love to get more. This is a call for people to send us your stories. We could do a 30-minute episode of just reading this is what this guy did, and this is what this person experienced.
Kanab After Dark.
So we've kind of reached the end of the arc of Kanab. But we still have one more episode.
Oh yeah, we still have my stuff.
That's
Christian,
in Kanab.
What were you going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about the offshoot of the LDS Church. So before I knew anything about this Kanab, not anything treasure related, I just wanted to see if anyone wants to join. We're sponsored by my wives and me.
This is the little, you can have a little sub podcast within the podcast. It's this is Christian's cults with Christians.
Cults. If you ever want to churn your own butter. Okay, no. So before I knew anything about this Kanab treasure, my neighbor, he's my neighbor.
Can we do this? Give the little teaser. The goal is, I want you to drive the next episode. You're going to do all the research on
that'd
this,
be so
and you're going to tell us the story about this breaking new theory of where the Aztec gold is in Kanab.
I'm going to go way too far into this. I'm going to go undercover. I'm going to go rub elbows with Jedediah.
Just Christian Jaya Jones.
And, and I'll be so deep in after a couple months, I'll be I don't know which side I'm on part of it. I'll be
Christian's just telling the story. It's after the holidays. By the way, this is right before Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to everybody. 2024 comes and Christian's just we haven't seen Christian in 3 weeks. And Christian's just therefore, brethren, join me in a tale of...
And I'll be I'll pretend that I'm undercover, but at night I'll just be so tormented as I lay under the barn and just be oh, which side do I want to join? And it'll be really hard for me. I think it'll be really tricky.
Deep cover,
but I'm going to go in deep. So yeah, there's just the teaser is that there is an offshoot LDS church group that my neighbor's brother is a part of, and he moved to Kanab, gave up all his earthly possessions last year to go. This group believes that in this mountain there is a great and holy treasure that they are called to protect, and that treasure, when the Savior comes again, they're going to use that treasure for the growth of his church. And they have all settled around this mountain, and they can actually buy a stake of it. I was supposed to give you a teaser, but that's mostly the whole story. So now
you're going to get details. I want you to get what's the pitch deck?
Yeah. There is a website for them, and you have to join their website to get into their comment area where you can do that. Yes. And I submitted an application last week. I got to check in on that.
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah, you really do.
Oh, and can you get on a sales call with them where they're hey, you need to buy the treasure? Come have a couple of
and be I'll be interested. I want to be,
we have a demo.
I'll come in person. Yeah.
Take you through there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See if you can get some testimonials.
Virtual tour.
We'll see. Hopefully that will be the next episode. Hopefully I'll have some good details.
The nice thing about this is we can dunk the crap on this FLDS.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think any of them are on TikTok or Spotify, so I think we're doing
That's
it.
actually a really good point.
Let me know if they have a wife picker tool.
Oh my gosh.
So swipe left, swipe left, swipe left.
What's that? There's the game called Second Life or whatever, the old computer game. It's Second Life.
Yeah. Do you think there's a a Tinder equivalent for polygamists,
I may
where
wanna
you can
come
swipe
with
right as many times as you want. Like, like.
No, it's bulk deals. It's bulk swipes.
Oh, that's so bad. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I feel like we should wrap the episode. Chad, take us away.
Well, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Outside.
So good. For sure your best one.
By far.
I practiced.